So the animals you can usually see are lions, tigers, and bears. What the? Hi, Tai the Taste Queen. Welcome back to another video. I've managed to replicate my look. Exactly. How are you today? Thank you for watching my other videos. If you are here and watching this, thank you so much. Mwah. I'm so happy to see you all. And today we're going to do IELTS. We've done a few TOEFL ones now, so let's jump back a little bit into IELTS. I just realized these earrings are going to be so loud on the microphone. I'll try not to move my head. I might have to take them off. I might not move. Today we are doing the IELTS video. I don't know if my eyes are sticking together again. If they are, just excuse them. I had so much trouble with this lash today. As a drag queen, we usually use weave bonding glue to stick our lashes together. My weave bonding glue solidified, so I had to go back to normal lash glue, which is not for a man in a dress. It is dainty and time consuming. It took me 20 minutes to put on one lash. Well, the whole look took me 5. Anyways, it's good to be back. It's good to see you again. Today we're doing a little bit of IELTS. What we're going to do today, if you clicked on this video, I'm going to do a speaking test with and for you. That is what most of you want. Most of you want to learn how to do the test, how to answer the questions right. I'm going to read the question to you. I will type the question on the screen, and then you can also pause the video after the question, answer it like you would in the test, and then listen to my answer. It's a twofer. It's a 2-in-1. You can listen to me, you can hear what to do, and you can practice at the same time. So don't just watch the video, pause the video, practice your own answer, and then continue. So it's a free mock test for anyone who's watching. Right, I'm going to go into the mock test. So let's do this one. We're going to do part 1. What I'm going to say is, after giving you my answer, I would just briefly describe to you a little bit what we're looking for when we do the tests, the mock tests, or what the real examiner is looking for. Remember, in part 1, they can't explain, they can't change anything. They can just repeat the question. One thing I want to say, when you do go to the test, as soon as you show them your passport, your ID, say something. Say, oh, this is my passport. It's the same name I used to register for the test. Or something like that. Start speaking English immediately. Start speaking English clearly, confidently, and in full sentences as soon as you sit down. Not when the examiner says, right, let's go to part 1. That's not when your test starts. Your test starts as soon as you walk into the room. Get that mindset and you will do much better. I'll give you another tip for part 2 and we'll get to that soon. So the first one, question 1, what is the most common type of pet in your country? In my country, while Taiwan is my country now, I see dogs most often. It's usually because when people have dogs, they need to take them out and they take them for walks in the park. They play with them outside. I've seen dogs on the beach. I've seen dogs in the street. I've seen dogs tied up outside homes or even on scooters. So I think dogs are the most common pets you will find in Taiwan. That is my answer. And even though I spoke a little bit fast, I gave a lot of information. I used different tenses. I said, I've seen, or you could see, you can see. Use different tenses when you answer a question. Don't just stick to one tense. And it doesn't have to be that long. Part 1, question 2. Do you have any pets? I used to have a dog, but he sadly passed away a year ago. Now I have lots of fish. I started with 5, but they keep having babies, and I have so many fish at this moment, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. So that is my answer. I do want to say one thing here. I've asked this question to many students in the past, and what they said was, no, I don't have pets. What then? If you don't have pets. Okay, let's do this question again. I don't have pets. Do you have any pets? No, I don't have any pets. I've always wanted a pet. I've even asked my mom in the past if I could have a kitten, but she outright refused. And she said, I'm not ready enough to take on the responsibility of having a pet because they do come with a lot of work and you do need to take care of them really well. My mom doesn't believe I can take care of a pet, which I strongly disagree with. So that answer would be good if you don't have a pet. Which types of wild animals that are found in your country are the most well known? I think the most common wild animal in my country, which is Taiwan, is the Taiwan black bear. They live in the mountains in central Taiwan, and although I've never seen one outside of the zoo, they're the most famous. Everyone knows about the Taiwan black bear. They're not that big. They're smaller than a brown bear, than the ones you find in North America, but they're not small either, and they can be dangerous. And like all wild animals are, approach with caution. So that is my answer. I think that was a very good answer, if I must say so myself. It's not too long. It's a little bit long, but it's not too long. So make sure you speak enough. Just make sure you speak more. I want to say one thing here, and I'm so sorry if the student I did this test with watches this video, but I've asked this question once, and like you all know, we're all friends of Judy. I asked this one student, and the student was like, yeah, lions and tigers and bears. I wanted to say, oh my, that was the first reaction that came into my head. I was like, no, composure, keep your composure. No lions and tigers and bears. There are no lions or tigers in Taiwan. Make sure what you say makes sense. Even though this is a speaking test and we test your ability to speak, or IELTS tests your ability to speak, they do want to see if you make sense, right? You do have to be able to formulate an idea and express that. If you're going to go lions and tigers and bears, they're going to know, oh, that's a formula. That is not original, natural speech. Right, let's go to the fourth question. The fourth question is the last question in part 1 before we're going to go to part 2. The fourth question is, if I went for a walk around your town or city, what kinds of animals might I see? Like I said in my first question, if I walk around my city, I see dogs everywhere. I've seen the occasional squirrel running up a tree, but mostly dogs. There are also a bunch of stray cats that can be found around the city, and lots of older people who give them food. So the animals you can usually see are lions, tigers, and bears. What the See, I was not thinking. I saw something outside and I just went on autopilot. Like I said in my first answer, I see a lot of dogs in the city. They're either with people, they're either stray, or they are just running around. So dogs are the most common animal I see. I often see squirrels running up trees, but they're not that common. I've heard from some of my friends that squirrels can be really annoying and even go into classrooms during lunchtime to steal food. I've never seen that. I've seen them in trees. But yeah, the most common animals I would say I see in Taiwan on a regular basis are dogs. Right, that was part 1. Now part 1 is finished. The warm-up, it's not a warm-up, it's part of the test, but now your tongue is nice and loose, and you go to part 2. For part 2, the examiner will give you a piece of paper with a question, and you're not allowed to take notes on that piece of paper. Sometimes they will even tell you, do not touch this paper. Some examiners can be strict. They will give you a piece of scratch paper and a pencil, and then you can take notes on the scrap paper with your pencil, but do not touch, or definitely not make notes on the question sheet. Part 2, the question is, I'll put it on the screen. Describe the best gift you have ever received. In this question, you should say what the gift was, who gave it to you, when you received it, and explain why you think it is the best gift you have received. So for this question, they will give you this piece of paper, and then you have 1 minute to prepare and 1 to 2 minutes to speak. Pause the video for 1 minute and then start speaking and time yourself. Last year, on my 41st birthday, I got the most amazing gift from one of my friends, and I feel it was the most thoughtful gift I've received in a long time. It was a little doll, decorated and made and customized to look just like me. It had this raggedy wig on. I used to wear a lot of raggedy orange wigs. It's got raggedy orange hair with massive eyeshadow, lips, and it looks just like me. It comes in a tiny box. Even the box was customized. It's got this clear film on the front, and then on the back it had all these words and phrases written, phrases that I would often say, not on YouTube, but phrases I would often say, where my friend painted them with whiteout. So it looked just like a real doll you would buy in a store. It was the cutest present I've ever gotten. I was so surprised and so taken aback. It's on my bookshelf right now, and it's something I will treasure forever. It's one of those things you grab in a fire. I think it's a very valuable gift. It shows that my friend put a lot of effort and thought into creating that for me, and I think that's the reason why I love it so much. It's been with me for a year now, and I still look at it every day and just feel appreciation. I really love it. it's a great gift. I think giving someone a gift like that, that is not necessarily expensive, but that means something, that creates a feeling of warmth and happiness in the receiver, it's just so important. It's something that we often miss nowadays by giving gifts, or with the gifts that we do give, that we don't always think about that. And I feel that small doll just teaches me how to treasure things. I'm this big burly man, and getting this little doll in this little box just meant so much to me, and it's something I will treasure forever. After that, it opened my eyes to gift giving, and I also try to give my friends better, more thoughtful gifts. Okay, so that is part 2. Now, for part 3, for part 3, it will relate to part 2. So this part 3 will continue the topic of gift giving. And part 3 has to be slightly longer. They have to be more in depth and not as personal. So like part 2 is very personal. It's always something about you. Part 1 is often personal. Part 3 is more in general. So part 3, question 1, why are gifts important? I think gifts are important because it shows the receiver that the giver really cares about them. And special gifts, like I mentioned in part 2, the doll I received, is something that someone put a lot of thought and effort into, and by receiving it, or by receiving something like that, or something similar, something with meaning, and something that someone put a lot of effort and love into, it makes the receiver feel that the person cares about them. I think giving gifts is really important, even if they're very small. They don't have to cost any money. It's the idea of the gift and the idea behind the gift that is so important when giving a gift. Question 2, what problems are associated with gifts? I feel the biggest problem associated with gifts is when someone gives something to someone else with the idea that they're going to get something of equal value back. Some people are more affluent than others, and they are able to afford expensive gifts. But then when they do give these expensive gifts to their friends and expect something of similar value in return, I feel it can create strife, it can create friction in a friendship, and that is never a good thing. Problems with gifts are mostly based around money, I would feel, or sometimes on cultural taboos. Okay, that was my second answer, and as soon as I finished it, I didn't plan this, by the way. I'm speaking from the top of my head. And as soon as I finished that, I realized when I said public taboos, I should have elaborated. I should have said more. So if I wanted a 9 for that, I should have said a little bit more, explained about the public taboos or the cultural taboos. Question 3, what do you think are the causes of such problems? Okay, so now it's back to the money or the taboos. What are the causes of such problems? The causes of such problems, I wouldn't repeat that. So I would start by saying something like money can be a big problem, and people with different incomes can afford different kind of gifts. But like I said at the end of my answer, there are cultural taboos, and cultural taboos can affect the gift you give. For example, in Taiwan or in some Asian cultures, it is not appropriate to give someone shoes unless they give you a little bit of money for them, like $1, because in a relationship, because shoes signify that person is going to run away. Do you think people all around the world... Okay, so now this question, I will put it up now. This question goes on what I just said. So it follows up what I mentioned. So basically, I've already answered this. So what do I do now? How do I answer this? The question is, do you think people all around the world appreciate receiving the same kinds of gifts? Or does this vary depending on the country? Like I just said, in some Asian cultures, I know Taiwan, for example, it is frowned upon to give shoes to your partner in a relationship because they could run away. I've also heard that giving a clock to someone signifies the end of time. So it is not a great gift to give a clock to a person because it is seen as rude and almost signifies death. And death is never a good thing to give to someone as a gift. So now in that part, I just elaborated a little bit more. Question 5, do you think the kinds of gifts that people give have changed over time? Most definitely. In the past, people often gave gifts that were more useful. People often gave gifts that people could use around the house or even in their gardens or at work. Nowadays, gifts are more for beauty or even pleasure. I don't see many people giving as many gifts that are useful anymore. What I do see is people giving gifts that people want to get. In the past, it used to be things that people needed. Now it's more things that people want. 6. Why might some people not like to receive gifts? I think some people don't like to receive gifts because gift giving often goes along with partying or birthday parties, and when it's your birthday and there's a big party and you receive all these gifts, or people present you with gifts or presents, all the attention turns to you. And I feel people who don't like to be the center of attention don't like receiving gifts because then all eyes are on them. For other people, I think they feel they have to give something back of equal or even more value. So it adds an extra burden to the whole gift, and that's something not a lot of people want to deal with. How do you think the giving of gifts will change in the future? If we follow current trends, I think the giving of gifts will continue on like this for a while, where people receive gifts that they want, receive gifts that they like. But I've also seen a recent trend, and if you follow the internet or creative websites, people are giving more gifts that are handmade, that are customized, that are unique to that person. So I think in the future, gifts might become more customized, might become more personal, so that each receiver gets something that suits him or her. That is the end of the test. And while I was speaking, I never for 1 second thought, am I using the correct tenses? Am I using perfect tense? Am I using enough high-level words? Because the more you practice tenses, the more you practice high-level words, the more words you use, the more phrases you use, the more idioms you use. So just go with that, just trust yourself. I said I wanted to say something about part 2, and this is a tip I saw on YouTube. I forgot who it was, but I think it's an amazing tip, so I need to share it with you in case you don't see that video. It was a guy, and he said, when you're preparing for part 2, right, you have the minute to take notes. Write down your first sentence that you're going to say. Write down your first sentence so that when they ask you, right, you can start speaking now. You don't have to think. That sentence is ready, it's loaded, you will get going immediately, right? There's no waiting time, there's no hesitation. It's just ready, set, go. It's done. I think that's a very valuable tip. Write down your first sentence fully, not even in keywords. Write down your full sentence so that when you start, just read it and then continue with the speaking. Right, that is the speaking test. I hope you all made it this far in the video. If you have any comments, any suggestions, any things you want me to do or try or say in the future or cover in the future, do that. I was even thinking of making like a 5-band video or a 4.5 video or a 4 video, but I don't know how to do that without sounding like someone who is not being serious, and I don't want that. So please make sure you leave comments. If you want me to do that, I could. Leave your comments, leave your suggestions. Please like and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Anyways, that is it for me today. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing, liking, subscribing. Thank you for everything. I have so many people watching this, supporting me. I can't thank you enough, especially if you made it this far. I will see you soon. See you in my next video. And little heart, little friends, keep on studying and don't give up. Keep on trying. Mwah.